Hello everyone, and today we're gonna take a look at SWTOR in 2022. So we're halfway through 2022 into June now. It's the middle of June, so we'll call that the halfway point of 2022. And let's go and take a look and see what's going on with SWTOR. There's nothing really going on though. The big thing was, of course, the expansion launch. Patch 7.0 launched. A bit of a disaster, and we'll go into that later on. Didn't really grow the player base very much. We'll show you the Steam charts to show you. This is the monthly Steam player charts. As you can see, SWTOR averages, around between 5 and 6,000 players is every month. That's his peak player count. Of course, this doesn't tell the entire story because again, Steam is only one of the platforms that SWTOR is available on. Of course, on PC, not every player plays on Steam. I know that, but the Steam charts are useful for gauging trends in the game. So they are useful in a sense. You can see February 2022 when the expansion launched. Peak player count was at 19,000. There, and then it just dropped back again. January of 2022 it was 10,000, and then by March it was down to similar number, 11,500 there, and then it's just kind of steadied 9,000, 9,000, 10,000 in the last 30 days. But you can see there nearly all of the growth that was gained there has been lost over the next few months. So 7.0 did a very poor job of bringing in new players. You can see they gained 18,000 on average. Sorry, 1,800. Sorry, gain on average there, and then lost 1,700 the next month. So it just shows you how bad a job it did at retaining people. Again, the lack of content is the biggest thing there. 7.0 was just a few hours of content, 1 or 2 hours. We got of content there. Again, not great, to be honest. Then the end game, of course, hit. And again, the problem with the end game is it just pigeonholes you into doing a specific type of content if you want upgrades, because they separated all of the currencies into like Flashpoint currencies, Ops currency, and daily currency. You've got the the conquest commendations and the tech fragments as well there. I did finish the galactic seasons, which was okay. I never really paid much attention to it. I hit level 100 a few weeks ago. So hopefully they'll do another season. 7.1 is coming in July, and hopefully that can bring stuff, a new daily area, a new raid, although I don't really do raids anymore, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I think that 7.0, what was it like when it was meant to launch in December of 2021 if they delayed it? Launching a story-driven game, if you launch that with the story content broken, Manan was broken as well. When you finished a cutscene, instead of being teleported to the next area, you were just left in the old area. There was an easy workaround for that. It was more of a minor inconvenience. Again, you would just travel back to your stronghold and then travel back to Manan there, and then you would get out of it. But it was annoying, and then there was the Malgus fight that was bugged for the longest time, where he would pull you through the level. There's still bugs in that Flashpoint. The first boss tends to pull you through the level, or push you through the level, should we say, in that one there. So not great, really. The Ruins of Null Flashpoint, it's not a great Flashpoint, to be perfectly honest. Quite annoying to do, but again, I generally do Flashpoints. Again, I've got a series of Flashpoints that I'm fed up running, and that's true because I've done these Flashpoints hundreds of times. I don't get why you would put Flashpoints like Black Talon and Essilus in the rotation. I think that's really bad. It's really bad because these Flashpoints are tutorial Flashpoints. They're designed for new players. And the problem is with if you mix them in with because the level range is 10 to 80. So level 10 players are going to have a different experience from the end game players. End game players just want the reward, because that's what Endgame is. It's reward driven. That's it. It's a vertical progression, reward driven Endgame we've got there. We don't even get better loot though that drops, which is quite annoying because we're just after the Flashpoint stabilizers mostly and the tech fragments. That's what we're after. Again, if you're doing operations, you'll be after the ops, whatever the ops fragments are. The system was so confusing though. I think it's telling how confusing the system was that they had to rename the what they call the commendations, whatever the materials, whatever they were. They had to rename them. That was really really confusing, I guess. They had to put the type of content that you had to do to get them. They were like Flashpoint, Ops, and Warzone things, and then you had the service commendation medals, which made no sense. So they changed them to what was it? They changed them to conquest commendations. That's what they changed them to. And they had to increase the cap to like 2,500 of them. You still hit the cap though, although you can trade them for tech fragments. Although I'm running out of reasons to get tech fragments, as most of my alts have legendaries, 330 legendaries fully upgraded now, because they just give out tech fragments like they're going out of fashion. So that I'm not a big fan. It'd be nice to trade them for the currency that you want. That would be nice. The Ops, Flashpoint, and Warzone currency. That would be pretty nice as well there. So yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to do in 7.0. I don't like the fact again they put low level players in with high level players, because again low level players want to watch the cutscenes, they want to do the story, and high level players just want rewards. So you end up getting a situation, I've seen it before in a pug group, where you'll get a low level player and somebody just initiates a vote kick as soon as the flashpoint starts, or they'll quit. If it's a group of low players, they'll just quit. If you're in there with a bunch of low level players, that the high level player will just quit the flashpoint. I mean, you do get a 15-minute deserter penalty for skipping the flashpoint, but to be honest with you, it is worth doing the 15-minute deserter penalty. It is better than sitting through those cutscenes in Esselis and Black Talon. So I think what they should do there is leave it for low level players. Maybe put a level cap of 30 on that one. Because I don't think it's very fair. It's a bad experience for veteran players. It is a really bad experience. They're not having a good time. And it's a bad experience for new players, because that's their introduction to group content most of the time, even though you can do it solo mode. And if you're a new player in Star Wars The Old Republic, I would recommend doing that flashpoint in solo mode. That way you can explore it at your own pace, and it is doable solo. You've got your companion. Your companion should be good enough. It's designed as a two-player flashpoint, because I have seen players just kick the lowest level player and then bring out a high level companion. That's not a good experience for new players. That's not, and I lay the blame for that. That's BioWare's fault. I mean, you could argue the players are just being dickheads, but I think it's a poor design from BioWare there. Keep Esselis and Black Talon separate for the low level players. Put it up to level 30 if you're having issues with player population, or again just make the players aware that they can do it solo. And solo is probably the best experience, because then of course you can run through it, you can sit and watch the cutscenes, you can pick all the dialogue choices that you want. People complain about you in Esselis as well, especially if you don't pick the dark side option for one of the choices, because it just makes the flashpoint longer and more annoying. There's also not many rewards. The first boss should also give a reward, I think. The first sort of the Imperial boarding party that you fight should have a reward there. Again, just to make it more worthwhile for the players. It only gives you companion gifts, which are kind of useless for high level players anyway. But yeah, I'm not a fan of that. The rest of the flashpoints are fine. I think master modes are still overtuned, so nobody really does master mode. You're stuck doing veteran modes. The biggest problem I have with SWTOR in terms of its difficulty is it's never right. The problem is the gap in between difficulties, I find. Veteran mode is way too easy, and I think master mode is just too hard for the player base. The biggest problem with master mode is you need decent itemization, and the itemization in low to mid-level gear just isn't there. Even I'm 325 geared, pushing towards 326, and I've still not got accuracy cap on my mercenary. And that's ridiculous. I'm at 109.91% accuracy. It's ridiculous, though, that you're sitting there at mid level. You kind of, I mean, it doesn't really make much of a difference. It's only 0.09 chance of a 0.09% chance that I'll miss. But I still don't like it. I'm still not a big fan of the accuracy cap. The itemization is just so poor, and you can't augment your gear. Like if you've got a set of 320 gear, there's no point in you augmenting it because as soon as you go to upgrade it, you lose the augmentation. So augmentation kits take quite a bit of time to craft. I end up crafting my own now because they're so expensive on the GTN. They're like 1,000,000 credits for an augmentation kit on the server I'm on. So it is very expensive, and you kind of need to augment your gear. I miss the modular approach to gearing. I think this approach to gearing is terrible. At least you could keep the shell and augment the shell, and then put the mod, the enhancement, and the armoring in. And the armoring is where you get the set bonus. Speaking of set bonuses, legendaries are just underwhelming. There should be something exciting about getting a legendary, and I just find them so underwhelming. I was looking at the shadow ones, for example, the shadow tank, which is probably the only fun spec in the game, I think, because most of the other specs in the game just don't run right. Really, they don't feel right. I was talking about this when I was doing one of that Flashpoint video with the Marauder, or the Sentinel, should we say. Combat just felt like all the timings were off because we just didn't have enough haste. That's what I felt like. Everything felt as though I was just waiting too long for something to happen because it's a very proc-based class, and it's about getting abilities off quickly, and again, getting your abilities out again in a quick manner and getting them out under the armor penetration ability. So you kind of want haste for that because you want everything to line up well. Madness Sorcerer as well doesn't really work out well. The Pyro Power Tech, it's fun doing AoE, but single target, it just feels lackluster to me as well. Quite like the Vanguard. Tactics is okay, but the Kinetic Combat Shadow is the one I really like. You don't have to worry about accuracy at least with it because it's tank spec. You've got full accuracy anyway there. So yeah, the classes aren't that fun to play, and I blame the itemization of the gear. The green gear, the blue gear is a little bit better. I don't do ops. I've no chance of getting purple gear. No chance of getting a new gear tier either, because I'm not going to do the new raid, unfortunately, as I just don't have time to raid these days. So yeah, not a big fan of that. I just think that the flashpoints, master modes just feel way overtuned. I have done a few of them as a healer now, because I've got decent healer gear. As the merc healer, the merc healer does feel underpowered. I feel still. I'm always feel like also player behavior is quite an issue I find in these master modes. People just don't use their out of combat heals now, and they're like, you're like, I had a tank that pulled at 70% health. And it's like, thanks. Thank you for that. Thank you for giving me all that work to do. Out of combat heal, usually that 15 seconds that it lasts is enough to fully heal you. Again, I put this down to, again, poor game design as well. I put this down to just people being that used to healer companions. Healer companions will heal you out of combat. I'm not going to do that. It's not my job to heal you out of combat. My job is to get in position for the next pool. Also, if the tank is doing that, it's lowering the group DPS, because if I don't have to heal, I can contribute to the DPS, assuming I don't get a bunch of resists and misses. That's a whole other issue. But again, a healer can contribute to the DPS. The more DPS we do as a healer, the quicker the boss dies, and the less healing we need to do, and the less chance of failure there, and the less chance of hitting in rage as well. So yeah, healer DPS is important. So if people are pulling it lower, not at full health, they're just putting us on the back foot. And then risking the chance of a wipe. So I'm not a big fan of that. Again, I blame the poor design choices. Again, healer companions, just the over reliance on them in general. I just wish that they would teach you how to play classes better. They would have better tutorials. about doing that. I mean, having come from playing Final Fantasy XIV, which does a really good job. I mean, you've got the things like the Hall of the Novice. You've even got the duty support dungeons now, where you can run dungeons with a group of NPCs. Again, it's a really good environment to learn, and I think Black Talon and Esselis are just a bit too easy. That's the purpose of those flashpoints, or should be the purpose, to teach players how to play the game. I would like to, again, I would like the option to be able to run flashpoints with having your companions out. That would be quite good. A nice option for solo players. Again, it just saves people all getting into a muddle with jumbling up the player base. I don't like that. Again, not a big fan of that. But hopefully, the rest of 2022, 7.1. Whether we'll get another update after 7.1 in 2022 is doubtful, because it's taken them quite a long time to get this update. You know, we'll be into July before 7.1 comes out. Hopefully, again, the daily area on Manan is decent. Hopefully that's decent. The raid, again, not going to have time to do, because I don't really have time to do raids these days, unfortunately. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of SWTOR in 2022. Has it been a real disappointment? Uh, Hopefully it's not been for you, though, as it has been for me. But I think it has been a huge disappointment so far. 7.0 promised so much and has delivered so little. So anyway, that is all for this video. So thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon, and goodbye.